Happy Friday! I forgot to change my settings. Oh no! Hold on. There we go. Wait, we gotta change the mic. Okay, now we're back. Hi guys, happy Friday. It's the Prop Queen Pod, taking you till maybe about 6 p.m. Eastern time today. I gotta figure that out because we had a cancellation on the show this afternoon. So we'll just go as long as we can. I have to move some things around too. My cleaning woman was here and things always get messed up. So, got to move some lights around. I'm not wearing my glasses today, so we don't have to worry about such glares. Oh my goodness, there's a massive glare though back here in this picture. You know, like when the cleaning woman comes and things just get messed up? Okay, we're locked in, like Joseph Rodriguez said. Locked in, ready to go. We've got game 5 tonight for Sean's Detroit Tigers going up against the Seattle Mariners. I should have asked Kelly to come on. I know. You know what? This person canceled at 4:00. And I felt really bad because I don't want to ask someone an hour before the show to hop on. I don't know what Kelly's doing. It's Friday. Who knows? It's a Friday. People just want to enjoy. I'm not going to make somebody do this for free at 5:00 on a Friday, except Mid-Major Matt, who's going to be joining us at 5:10 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk things college football, Major League Baseball, NFL. He's got some props for today in the MLB. And then we've got some college football action that he gave out on his newsletter at thepropqueen.com. So definitely go check that out. You could subscribe, the propqueen.com. I'm a mess today. I feel like this light's not as bright. Do I look as normal? I don't know. Am I bright enough? We love Matt. Yes. I have a cleaning woman. I don't like to clean. That's my problem. It's a really bad flaw of mine. My mom and my sister yell at me all the time. I hate cleaning. I hate it. I could do almost any job in the world outside, be like janitor. I give them so much credit. I think the biggest the biggest thing that would skeeve me out from a job would be like a hotel cleaning woman. Like I could not do it. I would freak out. I would be a good wife. I can cook somewhat, but I just don't like cleaning. I can do it and I will do it, but I don't like doing it and I can't say I'm great at it. Like I just would rather someone else. Okay, anyway, no one cares. So we're going to talk about yesterday. And yesterday in Major League Baseball was crazy because there were a few things that happened that I thought were obviously the Phillies game. I felt terrible, but I was really surprised that the Brewers also used Freddie Peralta. I feel like they shouldn't have used him. I know that they probably wanted it to be over, but Freddie Peralta, we know, doesn't pitch as well on the road. Now you have an elimination game in game 5 at home that you don't have your ace. So I didn't agree. But of course, the big story of the night was the Philadelphia Phillies. I know I'm not saying Peralta wasn't rested. I'm saying that Peralta should have been saved for game 5 because he pitches better at home. Throw anybody else. I'd rather have my ace at home in an elimination game. And now look, now the Brewers don't have their ace. And now what are they going to do? I just didn't agree with it. The Phillies. The Philadelphia Phillies were in that game. And granted, did they look like the better team the entire series? No. They're just like the Yankees. Their bats absolutely flamed out. They had one great game. They couldn't hit yesterday either. The Dodgers had Tyler Glass now on the mound, who hasn't looked like his old self, and he can't really typically go that far because he has this oblique injury and he's got a bunch of injuries, but they made him look like an absolute old self back in Tampa when Glasnow was great. Even when he was with the Dodgers last year at the beginning of the year before getting hurt, the Phillies made Glasnow look fantastic. Also, Christopher Sanchez has been fantastic. And I will be honest, I was low on Sanchez yesterday. I said there's no way in the span of a week that he gets to the Dodgers for a second straight time, and he absolutely did. So shout out to the Dodgers for that dub. The Phillies, you got to feel for their reliever. I feel terrible because everyone's human. That was just a complete choke job. To not just throw to first. Thought he had the easy throw home. I feel terrible for them. Now, people said I shouldn't feel bad for Phillies fans because Philly has had a Super Bowl in the last year. You guys have been to World Series, but you haven't won one in a while. I understand. I'm curious how the Phillies would have looked if Zach Wheeler was healthy. But again, the bats, the exact problem that the Yankees had. The bats just flamed out. When the top of your lineup's not hitting, it's not great. And Kyle Schwarber, I mean, Harper, they've given you so many reasons to be grateful for them, but they didn't show up. And you just have to feel kind of defeated like I do. Now, granted, yours was in more heartbreaking fashion. I'm very glad, and I said this last night, I am very glad as a Yankees fan, the Yankees just got beat. It wasn't a heartbreaker. You just knew that they sucked. The Phillies, they sucked, but that was a heartbreaker. So I do feel bad for you guys, more so than the Yankees, but you guys are in the same exact boat as us. And a guy who knows how we all feel, the Phillies fan himself, Mr. Mid-Major Matt, who's coming on the show now, said he hasn't had faith in this team all season, and it showed through last night, Matt. Hi.
Yeah, not fun. Went through the triple header of doom last night. Flyers lost their first game to the defending champion Florida Panthers, and then the Phillies didn't really disappoint me. I kind of expected it was bad the way they lost. I mean, obviously I'm a human.
So you were more surprised by the Eagles.
Well, of course, yeah. The Giants shouldn't be doing that to anybody, and I don't know. I mean, I have to remember that the Eagles were 2-2 the year they won the Super Bowl last year. That it's just, but that's why Thursday night games are crazy. Like Thursday night, if that was a Sunday game, maybe it's a little different. But the quick turnaround gives the Giants a little bit of an advantage there. And the Eagles without Jalen Carter, that was a tough way to start the game. Like he being inactive, he's so huge for we made Javonte Williams look good the first week. So like that was an issue.
How much are you concerned about the Eagles going forward after losing in that kind of fashion to the Giants?
So I have to hear what Quinyon Mitchell's injury news is. I mean, without him, Jackson and Keely Ringo are terrible. And so Howie's going to have to buy a corner or trade for a corner someplace else. And that's a concern, especially next week. They're going to face Justin Jefferson. So I have to know how long Quinyon's out. And the offense is broken because Jalen Hurts has not been as good, and A.J. Brown's complaining too much, and Saquon's not getting the ball enough.
Can you explain to me this A.J. Brown situation, by the way? So for anyone who missed it, yesterday in the postgame, A.J. Brown said, so the reporters asked about a meeting that happened between Saquon, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown was supposedly in said meeting, to which after the game, A.J. Brown says he doesn't recall a meeting. What the hell is that about?
He's just different. Wide receivers are different people, and it's just how vocal they want to be. I mean, Diana Rossini said Devontae Smith's not happy either, but you would never know. No, he's never said anything, and he's never done anything. And so I just feel like, they changed the offense last week to try and make AJ happy, and then he doesn't run on the touchdown, what should have been a touchdown catch in that game. And then, they miss another touchdown in this game, and I don't know. It's just, I think it's the Super Bowl hangover. I think this makes me appreciate the Chiefs even more. This makes me appreciate the Patriots even more, even though, they cheated with Deflategate and Spygate and all that stuff. But this makes me appreciate dynasties because it's really hard to win back-to-back championships, and the Chiefs and the Patriots.
But do you think it's a locker room problem?
I do. I think this is the last year for AJ in Philly. That's just my guess. I think this is the last year.
He did hit my over longest reception yesterday.
Nice. Good. Yeah, I mean, obviously they had the one that Devontae Smith that should have been a touchdown. That was a miss by Jalen Hurts. And I think Jalen Hurts just hasn't been at his best. Although it is funny how he's always finding Dallas Goedert and he's always on target with the tight end. But AJ, he just can't always complete passes to.
AJ Brown at least had over 23.5 yards for a longest catch yesterday, but that drama in the locker room is very, very alarming. For the Giants in a couple of weeks, you guys get them again. You think that you blow them out?
No, I don't think we blow them out. I don't think we're capable of blowing anybody out, but I'd like to think that watching them celebrate and dance like they won a Super Bowl will make them remember things in a couple weeks. It's kind of like last year when they lost to the Commanders in D.C. and Washington danced around like they won a Super Bowl when they just beat our backup quarterback. then they remember that and they destroyed him in the championship game of the NFC Championship last year. So, like, I'm hoping that's the case. The quick turnaround, I think, will hopefully make it fresh in their minds. But tell me if Jalen Carter's playing. Tell me if Landon Dickerson is playing. Tell me who else is playing, because they're a really injured team right now.
Yeah, they're banged up. Again, Super Bowl hangover makes sense, but maybe things could pick up down the stretch of the season when it matters most. I mean, your only competition is the Commanders, really, to win the division.
The problem is the schedule doesn't let up. It just doesn't. This is an extremely tough schedule.
You sound so defeated.
Well, I mean, it's not. It's just I realize that it's hard to win back-to-back years. I mean, this is just like in 2023 after the Eagles won the Super Bowl in or lost the Super Bowl in 2022 to the Chiefs. Like, the next year was terrible. They brought in the wrong offensive coordinator. You cannot promote from within. That's like giving a Lamborghini to a 97-year-old person who doesn't know how to drive. Like, you can't give a good offense with all these good pieces to a guy who has no idea what he's doing. That's why they have really good first halves, because his game plan's good, and then adjustments get made at halftime, and then the second half they're terrible. So, like, you cannot give an offense like this to an offensive coordinator with no experience. And they did that with Brian Johnson a couple of years ago, and now they're doing it with this Patullo guy who's also equally terrible.
For your Philadelphia Phillies, who now lost last night, going forward, there's a bunch of free agents coming up, especially like a Kyle Schwarber. He's out there. What do you see for next year for Philadelphia?
See, the funny thing is, of our list of free agents, I put Ranger Suarez number one. I mean, the guy is just a warrior. I mean, look at what he has, like a sub-2 ERA in the postseason. And he doesn't even throw fast. He's just like Greg Maddux from the left-handed side. He's very good with his spots. He's very good with his off-speed pitches. So I would put him number one over Schwarber. I would actually put Bader number two on my list. I really want Harrison Bader. I think he was a great clubhouse guy. I think he's a guy who came up with some clutch hits. If he doesn't get hurt, maybe the series is slightly different. I don't know if we win the series, but like, his injury forced them to play Castellanos, who is terrible, and forced them to play Marsh in situations they shouldn't. So, like, I would not be sad if they lost Schwarber. I think Schwarber screams Yankees, like Mets, Cubs, going back to Cincinnati to play for the Reds. I mean, he did a lot this year, but what did he do in the postseason? He hit 2 home runs and that was it. So, like, Schwarber and Real Muto, I guess I wouldn't mind having him back. He's a
Yankees fans are already calling for him.
I'm just saying, like, that makes sense. I mean, it's going to be a completely different team. We don't know if Zach Wheeler's going to be back next year. And so if Zach Wheeler's not back, then, I mean, the pitching's going to be fine. You got Sanchez, you've got Luzardo. Andrew Painter should be up by then and ready. Like, they thought he would be ready this year, but he's coming off of Tommy John. So, like, you make a couple moves. Our owner wants to spend money. So I think it's going to be a different looking team, and it should be. The manager should be gone. I would fire the hitting coach. I'd keep the pitching coach, but like everybody else should be gone. They should revamp everything.
Phillies, Yankees, Cowboys, we never learn. We just keep going with the same
Sixers.
exact losing playoff records. It is great. We do have teams that are still alive in Major League Baseball, though. Let's get to some props for tonight. Elimination game, Mariners, Tigers. You like a bunch of Kirby props. So why are we going over 3.5 hits? And why do you still think Kirby stays in the game?
So so last night when I looked at this number and all these numbers, none of these numbers were here. So I that's why I told you literally like 2:30 I was playing nothing today. So after you said, do you have anything for today? I'm like, all right, let me just go look. Because originally I wanted to play over 3.5 hits allowed for Skubal, because I think Skubal's going 6 or 7 tonight. And I think Skubal's the type to spread 4 hits out the whole night. And no, Sean, I'm not saying he's going to pitch bad. I'm just saying you can give up 4 hits over 6 innings, still pitch really well. And they're not going to take Skubal out. But then it got heavily juiced. It was like -160, -170. And then today it got flipped to 4.5 hits. So I'm like, all right, I can't do it. When you look at Kirby's given up over 3.5 hits to the Tigers in both starts this season against them. And there's a lot of guys on Detroit other than Kerry Carpenter who has great numbers against Kirby. 4 hits is a perfect number to kind of spread it out over 5 innings. I think he's going 5. I think that Kirby's going to pitch well enough today that he's going to stay in. Let's remember, he's not a guy that he's not a Taiwan Walker. He's not a starting pitcher with like a 6 ERA he's not an Aaron Nola. He's not some of these guys that you're going to just be like, I'm throwing him out there and having him go one time through the order. I think he's a pretty good pitcher. And this number's gone down. I saw people posting that they got Kirby's outs at 16.5 last night.
Ooh.
So it's gone down 3 outs since then. And now he doesn't have to even go 5, 4 2/3, and we win this bet. So I think Kirby goes 4 2/3 today. I think he goes 5. I put a little bit more on the hits allowed prop than the outs prop because, they are not necessarily correlated. He may give up 4 hits in an inning and be done, and I win one of the 2 bets. But I think Kirby does all right today. I think he spreads 4 hits out over 5 innings, and I'll take both of these bets.
We do talk a lot about props here, but we have the Tigers who are, I just want to get an updated look at this line. The best number you could get on Detroit's -115. The best number you can get on Seattle's +104. Found that at Pikkit. Tigers, short road favorites at Seattle. Of course, you've got a Cy Young pitcher and Tarek Skubal pitching. The Mariners' bullpen is suspect. The Mariners also tend to flame out in elimination games with their bats. Where do you lean in this game? Who's moving on?
I mean, the only way you play a lot of Skubal games, like I know we can't do it now because the juice is ridiculous. You take the other team's run line because it just feels like this is going to be a close, low-scoring game. It feels like this is going to be a game because
5.5 total, even though it did go up to 6.
Right. I can't take the under on a 5.5, but just, the value is always going to be there at taking the run line for the opposition against an ace. Like that's just how you usually bet these games because the aces usually have an inflated price. Now, since this is game 7 and you remember, this is game 5. So you remember last year what happened in game 5 with Skubal. I don't see that happening once again.
And I don't see him letting them beat him again. I know that's such a stupid public take to have, but like Skubal's a Cy Young winner for a reason.
I just think this is a 1-run game. I just feel this feels like if somebody gets a lead, I'm live betting the other team's run line, and then if I can get the other team's run line too, and sit there, this feels like a 1-run game tonight. I don't see Skubal giving up a lot. I don't think Kirby gives up a lot. I don't think either of these offenses are all that great. I don't think if you rank the offenses currently left in the baseball playoffs, these are probably the 2 last offenses that are left. I mean, think about it. They're not better than the Dodgers. They're not better than the Blue Jays. They're not better than the Cubs. And they're not better than the Brewers. So, in theory, these are the 2 worst offenses still left against 2 very respectable pitchers. So I see tonight as a 1-run game, and I might be waiting for one team to get a lead, take the other run line, and then maybe the lead changes and take the other run line and just hope for a 1-run game.
But you think the Tigers are moving on?
I don't feel confident in either direction. I really don't. I mean, Skubal in theory should be great, but here's the thing: you watched that Phillies game last night. Glasnow was great, and so was Sanchez. And so was Sanchez, and so was all the pitchers in that game. So you need to score runs to win. You could get 7 shutout innings from Skubal, and then the 8th inning, Holton comes in and gives up a solo shot, and you lose. So I don't think Skubal's
the Mariners bullpen has allowed 10 runs in 6 2/3 across the last 2 games. That is bad.
Yes. I mean, but then again, the Dodgers bullpen was bad, and they put the right pitchers in, using Sasaki for 3 innings last night and basically preventing anybody. Look, Trinan was coming in for the 11th, 12th, whatever it was, the 12th inning. The Phillies could have scored off of Trinan, but they had their pitching lined up perfectly for this game. I think Seattle will find a way to get the right pitchers in. As Sean said, Luis Castillo's available. Now, I don't know how much that makes me feel better. He's got decent numbers, but he's not a shutdown guy by any stretch of the imagination. I just think you see everybody's best pitchers tonight, and then they'll worry about game 1 coming up next week.
We've got game 2 tomorrow in this elimination style format of game 5. We've got the Brewers and the Cubs going head-to-head. Any early thoughts there?
So, from what I could tell, it seems like Mizorowski's going in this game. Is that what
That's what I figured.
Is that what I'm reading? So
I'll double check. MLB Network said.
I mean, there's no props up.
Yeah, it's still TBD according to MLB Network. But I would have assumed that just based off of throwing Peralta, and Mizorowski was very well available to come out of the pen, and they didn't use him.
So I'm guessing it's going to be Mizorowski and Imanaga to start.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
So my guess is we're going to get low outs for both of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess Imanaga's is going to be 8.5. and I'm going to guess that Mizorowski's is going to be like 11.5. And I'd be scared to take either over because both of those pitchers, like if Mizorowski was
The
a
Brewers
veteran,
are gonna go like if Mizorowski gets in trouble, they're just gonna deal everybody because they let Peralta go yesterday.
right? I think he's going to be short for this game, but I also think he could be great. I mean, look at what your guy's done. Your guy has been tremendous in his starts. We can't blame him for the Yankees' failures. He was
Schlittler,
tremendous.
he
Yeah,
was the only
exactly.
one.
Exactly. So I think Mizorowski can shove in this game.
It's the
And
year
I think
of the rookies. The year of the rookies. We got Schlittler who was going deep. We got in Toronto, Trey Savage was going deep. Now it's Mizorowski's turn.
all right, and Roki as the closer now in LA. I think that the fascinating number will be Mizorowski's strikeouts because if it's too low, I'm looking at the over. Because even in 3 innings, he could get 4 strikeouts. And if it's too high, I might look at the under because I don't think he's going to last 5. So that'll be on the books to decide what they want to do. But I think they're going to protect themselves by making it heavily juiced in either direction to make it so you don't want to take
and
either
everything's
side
been
of it.
shaved to unders in the postseason. So you've been able to maybe, aside for Tarek Skubal. We do have a question, though, about a strikeout prop. Kirby, did you like that at all for his case?
So he had what? He had 6 in the last start. He had 6, I think, in 5 innings. He had 8. My thing is the one thing about taking his strikeout over is if he does get yanked quickly, and even if he's not pitching that terribly, you're going to lose on the over. Like you have to go into this game assuming he's only going 5, and then if he's only going 5, there's a chance he only goes 4. And then that's 12 outs, and now you're asking almost half of his outs to be strikeouts. He could certainly do that. But I just don't. I don't like it. I can't take the under because Detroit's free swinging, but I don't think I can take the over in this game. The only one you would feel comfortable with is Skubal because you know he's going to go 6. You know they're going to stretch him to 7.
Uncle Ted, by the way, it is in Seattle. I couldn't go K's on Skubal. I'm going to go outs on Skubal, and I was pissed at myself because yet again, Ariel decides to get all her work done before placing any action down and lost the 19.5. So now it's up to 20.5, Tarek Skubal. Which, if you're going to bet the 19.5, you kind of had to assume that you're betting for him to go 7.
Which I think he can. I mean, I think Detroit will let him go 110 pitches if they need to. If he's pitching well, he could go heck at 120 tonight. The 8.5 was interesting. Now I saw it's up to 9.5. I mean, I can never take an over 9.5. I couldn't
even take it in the regular season at 9.5.
Exactly. I can't take over 9.5 because, let's say by some small chance he does get knocked out early, you have no chance. I fully expect him to go 6 or 7, though. I fully expect him to go 6 or 7.
I think he goes into the 7. Steam's clearly on this over. And if it's going to be a low-scoring game, as you've mentioned time and time again, Matt, there is nobody else that you could really trust right now more than Tarek Skubal in an elimination game.
Correct. I mean,
it is very high. It is very high.
As the chat says, Melton is. I mean, I like Melton. But I don't know if I can trust him in the 8th inning. I might go to Finnegan because I know, he could be good for that role late, but who knows? That's the other question is if he goes 7, who's going the last 2 innings?
Well, I guess that's a question for Sean Michael to tell us since he's apparently the GM of the Lions, the Tigers. I want to say Bears.
Oh my.
We do have mid-major Matt's. You could go to thepropqueen.com and subscribe for about $6 to his newsletter, Betting All College Sports. He focuses on college football right now, and then he'll dive into college basketball, which is coming up. College football, we've got games tonight, games tomorrow. And the thing that I love that Matt does is in the newsletter, he posts a lot of the good spots, the bad spots, the hangover spots. Matt, what would you say? I don't think you liked really anything tonight. So what stood out the most to you about maybe a team people could be high on that we should be fading?
So I think, and here's the one thing I like to caution people on when it comes to the spot stuff is that it's not a guarantee. We have a lot of spots that show up and it's not a guarantee to hit, but it's just at least something that if you're looking at the other side that maybe you pause for a second, you say, all right, I'm not going to take them. So like, for example, tomorrow there's a look-ahead spot for BYU. The Holy Wars next week. BYU and Utah hate each other. BYU's had a tremendous season. Utah doesn't like BYU. BYU's at Arizona this week, and I like Arizona. I think Arizona is a good team. I think they have a very good defense. I think they play well at home. BYU hitting the road in this situation as a slight favorite. I think they could be a little distracted looking ahead to next week. Now, some people say, well, why don't you think that for Utah? Utah's coming off a bye week. You tend to be more focused on a game off of a bye week. I know what's happening next week. So, like, maybe something happens in the fourth quarter if Utah is in a close game or in a blowout. But, like, Utah coming off a bye, I trust them more off of instead of BYU hitting the road when they're hosting the Holy War next week. A hangover spot? I mean, look, I've given out my Twitter account over 4.5 wins for Wake Forest. We love the fact that they won last week. They got 3 wins. So we're heading in the right direction there. They are heading to Oregon State on Saturday. Oregon State is winless. Oregon State's playing essentially an independent schedule because they are one of the last 2 teams left in the Pac-12. So they have nothing to play for, really. And Wake Forest is in the heat of a conference schedule, and now they have to go pause that and fly out west to play a winless Oregon State team. Wake Forest is a road favorite. Now, obviously, I want the win because that means I have 4 wins, and I just need 1 more Wake Forest win, and they've got a couple easy games left towards the end. But I just wonder where their head's at. Their running back is not healthy. Their quarterback is not healthy. Oregon State has been close to getting their first win of the season. I just feel like Wake Forest could be hung over a little bit after the huge win at Virginia Tech last week. So I would say I would lean towards Oregon State in that game at home. Obviously, you're betting on a winless team, so that's tough to do. But like, I just feel like the situation plays well for Oregon State.
We've got the Red River rivalry coming out tomorrow, 3:30, I think, p.m. Eastern time is the start of the game. How would you tell people to bet this big rivalry?
So I have rooting interests potentially on both sides. So we gave out on your show before the season John Mateer to win the Heisman. It was like 25-1, 30-1, and everybody sold their shares because he got hurt, but he really ended up missing 1 game. He only missed the Kent State game, which only would have meant he would have put up tremendous statistics, but like it was a game that didn't matter. Now it's the Red River Shootout, and it looks like he's going to play. Of course, make sure to check your participation reports and all the reports tomorrow morning, just in case there's some sort of change. But it looks like John Mateer is going to play. What that also does is it gives us some better value on Texas. And I feel like Texas in this situation, everybody's talking bad. Arch Manning's terrible. Steve Sarkisian's terrible. The defense is terrible. And rightfully so, they played bad, although we called it last week on the buy low, sell high on Florida. We bought low on Florida coming off the bye week, so that was a good call. Not to pat myself on the back a little bit there, but like I think now is a situation to buy low on Texas. I think Texas is in a good spot here to play really well in the Red River Shootout.
I feel like everyone is waiting for Arch to get pulled, and like you feel this is the week that he can fade the public essentially and show up.
Yeah, I do. I mean, remember, this rivalry game, this is one of these games where it's half and half. The stadium is half Texas, half Oklahoma. So there's not an advantage either way when it comes to the fans. And sometimes I like buying the dips. And when you get a team that's really low, you buy them because everybody else is selling them. So I like Texas in this situation. Of course, they could lose. Arch Manning could really be this bad, and John Mateer could be really this good, in which case it helps our Heisman bet for the future. But, like, I think this is the time for Texas. Because, look, if they lose this game, there's a lot of questions that come out of Texas because they lost to Florida. They lost to Ohio State. You know, their playoff berth could be in jeopardy a little bit. So, like, that will cause us to reevaluate Texas. But I think this is their last stand for the season.
Another big game. We've got a pretty short spread. Georgia laying 3.5 at Auburn. Being the short road favorite for Georgia at Auburn, like, is that kind of telling?
I mean, Georgia is still Georgia. Now, granted, they didn't play like it against Alabama, and they played really well last game against Kentucky. My concern here is Auburn's coming off a bye. So they've had 2 weeks to watch all this stuff. And especially in the SEC, when you're playing, emotional game after emotional game, and then your opponent is well rested, I'm a little concerned about that for Georgia in this situation. Now, we have the under 6.5 wins for Auburn on the season, and I'd really like them to lose this game, so it would be nice. But, like, that's also why I mentioned in the article, I don't like Alabama this week very much. Alabama coming off of the Georgia game and then an emotional Vanderbilt game, which is weird to say because nobody gets emotional over Vanderbilt, but they lost to Vanderbilt last year. So like this is an Alabama team that was looking for revenge and put a lot into it. Now they hit the road to play Missouri, who is coming off a bye week, and the week before the bye they played UMass, and it was essentially a bye week. Like they played a lot of backups in that game. So I think Missouri, much like Auburn, is the better situational play here. Talent-wise, Georgia and Alabama are the better teams, but they're on the road traveling to teams coming off a bye week. That always is the great equalizer in my mind.
I love that the mid-major Matt name has totally caught on because David Fink, he wants the small games. UMass Kent State, Matt.
This is the best game of the weekend in that it is the worst two teams in the country, and it is tremendous fading both of these teams. I love that David asked this question. So only a sicko like me will watch this game, or maybe a few others, because it's
Is it on ESPN Plus?
It's probably on ESPN Plus. It's full
on. Or do they have
action.
like one of those? Like when I was at Stony Brook, there was some weird ass service that we used.
Flow Sports.
Yes, Flow Sports.
Yes, that's the CAA's version of ESPN Plus is Flow Sports. Which no, it's not on Flow Sports. It's on ESPN Plus. I mean, if we're being honest, you shouldn't bet this game. I mean, it's just brutal. But like, I've watched a couple of UMass games this year. I think I've watched one Kent State game, and I think the difference is UMass has a lot of injuries this year, and their team is bad enough when their starters are in there. Their quarterback play is brutal. They've got one good wide receiver, and their defense is not very good. And Kent State actually has a decent quarterback. This Shields kid for Kent State's pretty good. So like, if you really wanted to bet this game, I think Kent State on the money line is probably the way to go here. I just think Kent State's really bad. UMass is really bad. Kent State is home. 10 people will be at this game, but like, Kent State has the better quarterback. And quite often when you play games like this, the better quarterback wins. So slight lead into Kent State. I wouldn't put any sort of massive amounts of money on that game, but like, it is going to be the fun game of the evening.
Fun game of the evening for Sadis. Oregon and A&M, thoughts?
So Oregon's got Indiana. That's going to be a really fun game. You've got an Oregon team coming off a bye week. Both of these teams coming off a bye week. Curt Cignetti, who's Indiana's coach, is very boastful. It's been very interesting. I think he's been pretty quiet this week. I have not seen any headlines from him. It's almost like he's getting serious now because he realizes if he angers Oregon, he'll see what happened when Mike Gundy angered Oregon a couple weeks ago, and Oregon beat Oklahoma State 69-3. So I feel like he's been very good at being quiet. The fact that both teams are coming off their bye week, Oregon is home. I'd be slightly leaning to Oregon. Now, I know the line is large enough that you can't take the money line, but I feel like if you paired Oregon's money line off with another team you like, whether it's baseball or the NFL or college football, like, I'm a fan of the money line parlays, taking teams kind of in that 6-7 range and not asking college kickers to make extra points or field goals and things like that. Like, just take a money line and then parlay it off with another money line, and you get a decent bet there. The problem is you just have to find two teams in that general area that you like. I think Oregon wins this game. It's nice that they've had 2 weeks since the Penn State victory, because if this game was last week after the Penn State game, I'd be a little bit concerned. But with the time off, I think Oregon's just the better team in this situation.
Sports Guru Vegas says he likes IU.
I mean, listen, I kind of like IU a little bit because it's JMU West. Curt Cignetti took all of JMU's best players, a lot of JMU's best players, and brought them to Indiana. So I have a soft spot for the JMU players on their team. But like, I just like Oregon. You're giving Dan Lanning 2 weeks to prepare for this game, and they're home. And I just think they're the better team in this situation. It's not my favorite play by any stretch. And as I said, the money line would be the way to go here. But like, I just think Oregon's the better team in this situation.
What's the best bet for college football Saturday from mid-major math?
So that's interesting. So we can't bet player props here in the state of Virginia, which is disappointing
for college.
For colleges. Yeah, it's very disappointing. Like, I made my Heisman bets when I was in Pennsylvania, because in Pennsylvania you can bet on the Heisman. I couldn't do it down here.
We can't bet awards here either.
So it's frustrating. And sitting here with my 3 Heisman bets of John Mateer, Fernando Mendoza, and then, I put Devin Dampier, and that one's kind of dead. But like, so I put it when I was up there. I would look for, if your book offers any Anthony Calandria props. He's the quarterback for UNLV. Air Force can't stop anything through the air. Navy's quarterback threw for over 300 yards. That's a career high for the kid. That's like a career high for anybody at Navy because they don't throw the ball for the most part. They do a little bit more now than they used to because when Coach Ken was there, they rarely, if ever, threw the ball. Now they throw the ball a little bit. Bottom line is Air Force can't stop anybody through the air. So Anthony Calandria is the next guy to face them. I haven't seen any props yet for Anthony Calandria, but if he has like a 1.5 passing touchdowns, I'd look at the over. I'd look at the over on his passing yards. I think once again, I'd look at the over on UNLV touchdowns in this game. I think UNLV in the fast track at home against a secondary that can't stop anybody. I think UNLV scores a lot of points against Air Force. Now the question is, can Air Force score some points? Maybe. The total's a little high. But Air Force's offense has been very explosive themselves, and UNLV's defense at times has been a little leaky. So I think you might see a lot of points in that one. But see if you can find Anthony Calandria props for tomorrow. Passing touchdowns, passing yards. Every week the rest of the season, I'm going to be taking the quarterback against Air Force until they figure something out in the secondary because they can't stop anybody through the air.
We love props in college football. Before I let you go, NFL this weekend. I know that you said that you were going to be looking for some kicker props. Anything stand out early?
So, I mean, look, we're trying to find the right defenses that will stop teams. It's funny. I almost feel like I want to take Denver's kicker against the Jets, but it's overseas. I hate trying to predict, at times the European fields have not been the greatest. And so you might see some people settling for field goals less. Look, the automatic bet usually it used to be Tucker. Now it's Boswell. I think Cleveland's defense is good enough to let Aaron Rodgers move up and down the field, but I think that they'll settle for field goals. And usually Boswell's 1.5 is heavily juiced to the over. But he's the guy that you usually go with because Pittsburgh's offense is good enough between the 20s and then they kind of stall out a little bit. I mean, if your team doesn't get blown out, I feel like Tyler Loop is usually, but Cooper Rush, I don't know how much he's going to move that team. I mean, do you think that what are you predicting?
Their only saving grace is it's going to be a washout this weekend. Sunday's supposed to rain pretty much everywhere in the Northeast. If the Ravens have to win a running back battle between Derrick Henry and Kyron Williams, that might bode well for them, even though the Rams have been pretty good against the run. But just say.
So it feels like it could be a Justice Hill receiving game.
Okay. Maybe. It's going to rain.
Yeah, but he's not going to go very far. And so if he takes one screen pass and breaks a couple tackles in the rain, he goes over. For
sure. I was just talking in reference to the kicker props. How much does rain influence you?
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't play. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. It's an interesting offense for me this weekend, Cincinnati, because how much does Joe Flacco know about this offense? But yet he has
obviously the other side of that's going to be the most bet on side for Survivor this week.
Yes. Although I have 2 entries left. I have one. I'm using one on Pittsburgh and one on Green Bay because I'm saving Green Bay.
You're going to use Pittsburgh in a divisional rivalry with the Browns
off of a bye week with Dylan Gabriel potentially in the rain in Pittsburgh. I mean, look, I'm looking at the forecast. Light rain is projected for Pittsburgh right now, but Pittsburgh off a bye week against Dylan Gabriel on the road after London. I think the situation screams Pittsburgh runs away from that game. And I actually looked. I don't think I'm going to use Pittsburgh the rest of the year. If you look at their home games, I don't see Pittsburgh now. Maybe the Baltimore home game, but that could be probably later. I'm guessing that's later on in the season. But
after the bye, Lamar's coming back.
Right, exactly. So that kind of changes. So there's not a situation, and if it's late enough and Cincinnati's in the mix, Burrow could be there. So I've got to use Pittsburgh now. I might not use Pittsburgh the rest of the season.
I understand. I just know that there's always one game a year that the Browns play it close, and I am very nervous. But we'll see. I would love.
Bye week, I'll take Tomlin.
I get it. Mid-Major Matt. Make sure to give him a follow at Mid-Major Matt. And also you can check out his newsletter at thepropqueen.com. Subscribe, $6. Get all his college football insights 3-4 times a week. It's awesome, just like Matt is. I'm so sorry for your loss. The Eagles, the Phillies, the Flyers. Philly just not thriving this week.
It's okay. It means my Sunday's freed up. I can now watch other teams, or I can go outside and take a walk and just enjoy the fresh air.
It's going to rain.
Maybe not in Virginia. I don't know if it's going to rain in Virginia. Is it?
It's going to rain here, and I'm going to get to watch the Ravens as 7.5-point home dogs against the Rams, so that'll be fun. Matt, you're the best. Good luck to your bets this weekend.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Got the Prop Queen edges of the day. We're going to do some propaganda right now for Major League Baseball. Propaganda. These are the most bet on props according to BetMGM for today in Major League Baseball. George Kirby under 16.5 outs. Wow, minus 185. No, thank you. Riley Green to hit a home run. Kirby under outs minus 200. Jesus Christ. Kerry Carpenter a home run plus 450. And Kirby under 6.5 strikeouts. Those are the most bet on props today according to BetMGM. That's a toughie. So basically the public doesn't think George Kirby's going deep. Well, George Kirby at home, I'm going to see if I have any stats of Kirby at home. He did face elimination in 2022, ALDS Game 3, and he threw 7 scoreless innings. Let me get his home road splits real quick. George Kirby, home road splits. I think he's way better at home. Yeah, 3.38 ERA at home, 5.16 ERA on the road. George Kirby allowed 2 runs to Detroit at home last time out. In Detroit, allowed 4, but that was in Detroit. He does pitch better at home, so I'm just saying, with a low total and a pitcher that pitches better at home, I would fade the public on George Kirby in the sense that they clearly are not fond of him, but I think he might do well, and so does Matt. Even though Matt thinks he gives over 3.5 hits, he does also like his over 13.5 outs. For me, I'm going with Tarek Skubal over outs. It was 19.5 this morning. It's up to 20.5. Steam is absolutely loving Skubal today. I absolutely love Skubal today. AJ Hinch isn't Aaron Boone. He's not going to have a short leash if his ace is dealing. You're going to let Skubal go as long as he can. And the last time that he pitched, he gave up 2 runs because of Jorge Polanco. Those were homers from Polanco. But outside of Polanco, Skubal was dealing. And I am very amped up to watch Tarek Skubal tonight. So just looking also at some of Skubal's other outings. So at Comerica at night in the last 2 seasons, I don't know why I said at Comerica at night. In Seattle at night the last 2 seasons, Skubal hit 21 outs, allowing 2 earned runs in both games. Seattle's actually, weirdly enough, hitting better on the road this year as opposed to at home. So their OPS at home is 22nd, but on the road, it's second best. So Tarek Skubal is not afraid of pitching there. He's not going to be afraid on the road. He already is now getting his redemption spot because he lost in the elimination game last year. The only downside, of course, is a rested Detroit Pen, but if Skubal's dealing, he's not leaving. 19.5 outs is a lot. It's even up to 20.5. It's not really short rest. It was 4 days. He's fine. Do you know how long Tarek Skubal's been waiting? He's been waiting 365-ish days. I don't know the exact amount, but 365-ish days that Skubal has been waiting to get redemption on losing his elimination game. We're talking a Cy Young winner. We're talking a guy getting a Mariners team that continues to completely fade out in elimination games. Like, they never score. And now that we're getting the team that ranks 22nd in OPS in home games, the Seattle Mariners, Skubal's getting redemption tonight. That number, 19.5 to 20.5 with a low total of 5.5, 6. Jorge Polanco, you say he doesn't hit lefties? Well, Jorge Polanco has hit the ball against lefties this year. It's at, in the last 10 games against the lefty at home, Polanco's driven in a run in 7 of those 10 games. He's hitting .310 with 3 homers against Skubal in his career. You could look to the over hits, runs, and RBI. The half one is minus 165, but over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBI, you get around plus 150. Polanco's gone over that in 7 of his last 10 at home against lefties as well. I know it's a low total, but someone's got to score to win the game. So Jorge Polanco, you could look for a nice little value play at plus 250 at half an RBI. He has been driving in runs against lefties this year. Let's take a look at some NFL. Actually, sorry, I'll tell you those in a second. Let's go through some Major League Baseball stats to know. So Tigers at Mariners stats to know. In a best-of-5 postseason series, teams that have trailed 2-1 before avoiding elimination in Game 4, like Detroit, they've won 58% of the time. Let's see. Detroit, position players. I don't really care about one game sample size. It's telling me all about like Wednesday's game. Like, congratulations, you had one good game, just like everyone else has one good game. So Skubal starting a deciding ALDS Game 5, second straight year, 2024. He held Cleveland to 2 hits through 4 innings before allowing 5 runs in the 5th. That was the Lane Thomas Grand Slam. Skubal allowed 2 runs, solo homers by Jorge Polanco in 7 innings in Game 2. Detroit's lost all 3 of Skubal's starts against Seattle this year. He's 0-2 with a 4.58 ERA, compared to 14-4 with a 1.97 ERA against everybody else. Detroit has scored 2 runs or fewer in each of Skubal's last 5 starts, which is why he's 1-4. Also remember that Skubal he was pitching for the University of Seattle. It was the only D1 school that ever offered him a scholarship, so Seattle means something to him. This is the 3rd time the Mariners have played a winner-take-all postseason game. They won Game 5 of the ALDS at home in 1995 and 2001 against Cleveland. Seattle was shut out for 18 innings at T-Mobile Park the last time they played a postseason game when facing elimination. That was the 1-0 loss to Houston in 2022. George Kirby. Game 1, he allowed 2 runs in 5 innings, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. Kirby held a 1-0 lead with 1 out in the 5th inning before Kerry Carpenter ripped that 2-run home run. Kirby was actually sinker heavy in Game 1. His 47% usage, the 2nd highest rate of his career. Luis Castillo could potentially relieve Kirby. Brian Wu possibly returning in the ILCS. But Seattle could burn both Kirby and Castillo in Game 5, still be able to start Wu and Logan Gilbert in Games 1 of 2 of the ALCS if they do win. Seattle's bullpen, they've allowed 10 runs in 6 2/3 innings across the last 2 games, including 3 homers in Wednesday's loss. Former Mariner Will Vest has allowed just 1 run in 12 innings in his postseason career, with opponents 4 for 40 with 14 strikeouts. It's nuts. Cal Raleigh hitting .438 with a team best 4 ribbies in this series. All other Mariners players combined to just hit .190 with 10 ribbies in the ALDS. Kerry Carpenter is hitless in 16 at-bats in this series with 7 strikeouts besides the 1 homer versus Kirby. Carpenter is 5 for 11, which is .455 batting average, with 5 home runs against George Kirby. That's the stats to know for tonight's game. Tomorrow's game, Cubs-Brewers, 8 o'clock. It looks like we might be seeing Jacob Mizralski, the rookie for the Brewers, since they blew Peralta. Only 17 of the 92 prior teams to fall 0-2 in a best-of-5 have rallied to force Game 5. 10 of those 17 completed the comeback. The Brewers had just 4 losing streaks of at least 3 games this season. Ironically, only the Cubs had fewer. Milwaukee has lost 5 of 7 winner-take-alls in club history, including losing at home to the Mets Game 3 last year in the wild card. The Cubs played their second winner-take-all game in 9 days. They beat the Padres Game 3 of the wild card at Wrigley. Cubs have won 5 of 9 winner-take-all games in their postseason history. Craig Counsell, the Cubs manager, he's 1-2 in elimination games and played in 4 and went 4-0 when he played. I don't care when he played. I care about when he managed. Let's see. With Ian Happ's 3-run first inning homer on Thursday, the teams have now combined for 21 first inning runs in the LDS, which is the most ever in the playoffs. The Cubs have scored 11 first inning runs. Only 6 teams have ever scored more in the opening frame across a playoff series: Dodgers and Braves. Nothing has been announced but a bullpen game for each team likely tomorrow. In Game 2, Aaron Ashby opened the game. The Brewers followed it with Nick Mears before Matt Murphy turned to Jacob Mizralski for 3 scoreless. Ashby struggled with his control over the last 2 appearances, including Game 2, allowing 4 runs and 8 base runners in 3 innings. Mizralski has allowed 6 runs, 5 earned in 11 innings, which is a .409 ERA against the Cubs. Chicago batters are just hitting 132 with no home runs, 7 walks against Mizorowski. Imanaga, he was hit hard, 4 earned runs, 2 homers, and 2 2/3 when he faced the Brewers in Game 2. Imanaga's 2-6 with a 5.42 ERA in 13 starts dating back to July 25th, and the Cubs have lost 10 of his 14 starts. In their 4 playoff wins, the Cubs bullpen has a .95 ERA. 15 of the 22 runs the Cubs have scored have been from the home run. Michael Busch, 6 for 18 with 4 home runs in his last 5 playoff games. Kyle Tucker has reached safely in 7 of the last 9 plate appearances, including the first postseason homer since Game 1 of 2022. Jackson Chourio has hit safely in each of his first 7 career playoff games, hitting .462 with 2 doubles, 3 home runs, and 9 ribbies. I'd keep going Chourio ribbies, honestly. The home teams won 11 of the 17 games between these two in 2025. So just some stats to know for tomorrow. I would probably be looking at Chourio to score or to drive in a run. That's probably my favorite one of tomorrow. I don't know how to – I wouldn't bet any pitcher props because you're just going to get essentially a bullpen game, and we don't even know who's starting, so I can't even tell you who I think is going to win the game. NFL props to get ahead of this weekend. So I'm just posting to X right now. Okay, NFL. So a lot of these have moved already. So Justin Herbert's rushing yards prop was 15.5 this morning. It's now 19.5. Travis Etienne was 13.5. It's now 14.5. I didn't check the other 2 yet, but I just bet Herbert and Etienne because those are very much on the move. So let's start with Daniel Jones, the Colts quarterback, over 234.5 passing yards. Now I'm hoping that we get Kyler Murray in this game. He is questionable. However, that number has now hit 7. I think it's too many points, but whatever. So Daniel Jones has gone over this passing yards number in 3 of his 5 games this year. 2 of the 3 were at home. Arizona has allowed the 5th most passing yards per game to quarterbacks, 267. All 5 quarterbacks to face the Cardinals have gone over their passing yards prop so far this year. So again, if you think that the Cards could at least cover a 7-point spread, then Daniel Jones should be throwing the football. If you want to lay 7 with the Colts, be my guest. I'm just saying, that's a trend to know. All 5 quarterbacks to face the Cards have gone over their passing yards prop this year. As for Justin Herbert, whose prop went from 15.5 to 19.5 already this morning, they're getting the Dolphins. Herbert's averaging just under 31 rushing yards a game this year. He's gone over the prop in 4 of 5. LA's backfield is depleted with the Marion Hampton out, Najee Harris out, so Hassan Haskins is their starting back. Miami's allowed the 4th most rushing yards per game to quarterbacks this year, just under 33. And with Herbert averaging just under 31 rushing yards a game, I like Justin Herbert to go over his 19.5 rushing yards. Travis Etienne over 13.5 or 14.5 receiving yards. I won't be surprised if this hits 15.5, 16.5 come Sunday. Etienne hasn't faced really many teams that struggle against pass catching backs, but when he has, he's hit this over. This year, he faced Cincinnati on the road, went 2 for 18 with a touchdown. Last year, faced Buffalo on the road, 4 for 17. So he should hit 13, 14.5. Seattle has allowed the 2nd most receiving yards per game to running backs. They average about 58 receiving yards per game allowed to the backs. This year, 5 of 8 running backs to go up against Seattle went over their receiving yards prop. So I'm going to be looking at his. You could also look at some of the Seahawks receiving yards props because the Jags also stink containing pass-catching backs. This one is Monday Night Football, 8:15 p.m. on Monday. Washington's quarterback Jaden Daniels over 1.5 passing touchdowns. This is at plus 114. Might even come down by the time we hit Monday. Daniels has thrown at least 2 touchdowns in 5 of 6 primetime games since the start of last year. The Bears have allowed the 2nd most passing touchdowns in the league this year at 2.5 per game. It's a high total, 49.5, 50.5, so there should be points on the board. And 3 of the 4 quarterbacks to face Chicago this season went over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Geno Smith had 2, Jared Goff had 5, J.J. McCarthy had 2. Dak Prescott's the only one that went under with 1. So Jaden Daniels in prime time in a game that's potentially going to be close because think of the revenge spot for the Bears who lost on a last-second play to the Commanders, and then things just went downhill for the Bears after that the last time these two played. Jaden Daniels, I kind of like this stay close and for him to throw the football. I know Scary Terry might be out for this game. He's not looking great, but again, we have till Monday. So injury reports, I can't take too much into consideration. on Friday for Monday as I would for Friday for Sunday, if that makes any sense. So we'll see on Monday what the situation is with the receivers. I think, yeah, it's almost 6 o'clock and I've got to get wine. Best bets of the day and the weekend. Royal Locks. Royal Locks time. So Royal Locks of the day, we are going with Tarek Skubal over 20.5 outs. I feel like an insane person for doing this, but I'm going to go for it because I'm going to be mad if it hits and I wasn't on it. The steam is on the over. It was 19.5. Now it's 20.5. It's a low total, 5.5. So if Tarek Skubal's not allowing more than a run or two, then AJ Hinch is keeping him in the game for as long as humanly possible. The Tigers, best option is your ace, your Cy Young winner. In Seattle at night, the last 2 seasons, Skubal's hit 21 outs, allowing 2 earned runs in both games. Seattle's hit better on the road all season. They actually have the second best OPS on the road. But the problem is that the Seattle Mariners are home tonight, where they have the 22nd ranked OPS when home. The only downside, of course, is that Detroit's bullpen's rested. But again, who do you really trust more than your Cy Young winner, Tarek Skubal? He's going 7 tonight. Over 20.5 outs for Tarek Skubal. It is redemption time for losing Game 5 last year. Justin Herbert over 19.5 rushing yards. He's averaging just under 31 rushing yards a game this year. And on the other side, Miami's allowing just under 33 rushing yards per game to quarterbacks this season. There's no running backs in the backfield. It's Hassan Haskins filling in for Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris, who are out for the Chargers. So we're going to go Herbert over rushing yards. It's already gone up from 15.5 to 19.5. Travis Etienne over 13.5, 14.5 receiving yards. He really hasn't faced many bad defenses against pass-catching backs, but he faced Cincinnati and Buffalo the last 2 years and went over in both of those. Seattle allowing 58 receiving yards a game to backs this year, and that's why 5 of the 8 backs to go up against Seattle went over their receiving yards prop. So those are my best bets for tonight and this upcoming Sunday. I hope you all have a very profitable weekend. I hope that your teams win. I hope your bets cash. And I hope you all are back here on Monday with me at 5 p.m. Eastern time on the Prop Queen Pod. Thank you all, as always, for tuning in here on the show. It means the world to me to have all of you guys here and spending your Friday with us. Thank you to Mid-Major Matt as well. Sign up for the PropQueen.com newsletter. You get all this information right to your inbox. You can also get all the info from Mid-Major Matt if you sign up for his newsletter as well. That's $6. Appreciate all the support. See you guys Monday.